David Morgan of the Morgan Report with me now in San Francisco. David, it's been too long. Welcome back.
Well, thank you for having me.
Now, everyone's expecting us to talk silver.
Right.
Well, at least I am, and we will. But I want to first talk to you about technology and mining, because everyone says there's huge opportunity here as mining is becoming more innovative. But I think people don't know how to get involved or invest in that aspect.
Right, well, I gave my speech on how technology is affecting the mining sector, and I went from kind of top down to a speculation that I have. So let's start there. One is like Wi-Fi. Everyone knows what Wi-Fi is. Hecla Mining has implemented a Wi-Fi system in one of their projects where the drill can go by itself and start working. So this is high tech. A couple things. One is that it's a costly thing to implement, but once it's done, it's a high safety factor. So it adds added safety because there's no human involved, okay? That's one. Another company that's here, that's a smaller company, does an ore sorter. These have been around for a while. Pretty good capital cost, somewhere around $850,000. And the ore goes through the belt, and the system looks at it and says good, bad, knocks it off and basically sorts for you. Saves a lot of cost because that's just part of the process. And this company has a restriction on how much shipping ore they can take out of the project to the mill. It's an Oregon property. And so that's very useful to them. Another one is reverse circulation drilling. Now it used to be, it's the cheaper way to drill, and it was less efficient, it was thought, than diamond drilling or core drilling. No longer true, because with today's technology, you put a camera as you're doing reverse circulation and see the fissures, see the zones, see whatever's being drilled real time. And so it's less money and more effective really than diamond drilling. So this is something new to technology. The reason I bring it up is because there was a big shift in the last mining cycle of what was taking place, and this is when the production of silver started to move up substantially, and that was due to cyanide heap leaching. And now cyanide heap leaching is actually outlawed in some countries and some states in the US. And the company that I am talking about mostly and invested in as well has a reagent that is inert. So it's cyanide free. It's the new cyanide, if you will. And this company is really known by no other analyst or newsletter writer, if you want to call me that, than the Morgan Report.
So David, would you not even focus on the mining companies anymore? You're just looking on the technology end?
No, I'm looking across the board. It's just that this happened to come across my desk like 3 years ago, and it's one of those stories that's too good to be true, and it actually started with a project called the Mobile Mill, and I was down after 2 years not saying a word about it because I'm a show me, don't tell me kind of a guy. Watched this whole process on the pilot plant work. I was excited about the Mobile Mill, actually recommended that speculation on a speculative investment. And the CEO of the company said, David, can you stick around another day? And I said, why? And he told me about this too good to be true cyanide replacement. You're an engineer, David, you're a pretty smart guy. I trust your common sense. Will you come investigate it with me? I said, yeah, okay. So I changed my flight plans, went, the guy was a no-show. So I'm like, oh boy, okay.
You're like thinking, this is too good to be true, right? Right.
So we got a sample of it, a substantial sample, brought it up to Canada, to Vancouver, put up a lab, and then I went up there again, because that's how I am, very diligent on what I do. And lab had done several tests. And so I went up there after several tests to witness it for myself, cornered the chemist by myself with no influence from anybody else, and started looking into the physics and chemistry of it, convinced it's real, and it is. Since that time, the stock has moved fairly substantially, but it's still early stage. It still has a lot of upside.
Let's talk silver price now.
Okay.
So a lot of people bullish silver right now. And I know in past interviews you've said, look, it's one of those metals where it might not do anything for a very long time, and then all of a sudden it just breaks on through. What part of the cycle is silver at now?
I think good summation. Silver has a history of building a very long and strong base. And excuse me for digression, but I used to, when I did the triathlon thing, the better your base, the better you're going to do in the race. And it's sort of the same thing with silver. So we have a good base. I think we are at the launch point in the next 3 to 6 months. I think 2018, not going to go straight up, but it's going to be a good year. And the reason being is that one, the ETF of base metals just hit a 4-year high. Very few analysts are looking at that, but I do. And so I think that's a precursor to the fact that the commodity cycle is really starting to gain some energy and some influence from investors. Silver is, to me, one of the top tier metals still with gold, and has a following that's kind of squirrely, meaning like they rush in and they rush out. And of course there's very long-term silver holders that are stay along, so I understand that as well. But nonetheless, it's one of those metals, it's similar to the cryptocurrencies. It's a small market that gets very enthusiastic.
Bitcoin is always pitted against gold, but there's a lot more similarities in terms of the volatility with silver, right?
Good insight, yes, that's right.
I asked Jeff Christian about supply in silver, and I want to ask you the same thing. What are you hearing on the supply side for silver? Are we in a deficit or not? There's so many varying.
It's really it's very simple. Because it's not like I joke around, I'm very serious with what I do. I have a very small sense of humor. But I just gave a speech at the New Orleans conference, and it was called Silver Past, Present, and Future. And in the past, we were in a deficit from 1990 to 2006. And from 2006 till now, we've been in a surplus, if you want to call it that. What are you talking about, David? Well, from 1990, we had 2 billion ounces of supply above ground. In 2006, 1.5 billion ounces was gone. So we're down to 500 million ounces. From 2006 at 500 million ounces, we're now at 2.5 billion ounces. We have rebuilt the stockpile above ground by 2 billion ounces over the last 11 years. We are not, and have not been, in a silver deficit for the last 10 years.
David Morgan, thank you so much. Always telling it like it is. Thank you for coming back on the show.
My pleasure, thank you.
Thanks for watching. We'll have more for you on Kitco.com.